Hi guys, it's Angela and I am doing a video on cruising with children with special needs. First of all, I'm going to give you a little bit background on me and our family and our cruising experience. We have a son who is 8 now. He has nonverbal autism and is definitely what some consider, say, low functioning. Although I hate that term and would never use it in describing my child because that's not accurate. So we have Daniel, who's nonverbal autism, and then we have Alyssa, who's a rare form of Down syndrome called translocation Down syndrome. She will be 3 during the time of our next cruise, which is in June. We have done 9 cruises previously. We are booked on our 10th cruise for June on Royal Caribbean's Liberty of the Seas, and we will be celebrating Alyssa's 3rd birthday on that cruise. Our last cruise was 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, and we only had Daniel at that point. It was our first real cruising as a family with a child with special needs. Now, we had cruised with him when he was 10 months old, but he was still a baby at that point. He didn't have an autism diagnosis. There were no very prominent delays at that point in time. So I don't really count that as cruising with a child with autism because that really, at that point, that wasn't a concern of ours. But when he was 5, we definitely had that diagnosis and we had those concerns. Carnival kind of messed up. And sorry, I'm getting a tired arm here. Carnival messed up right before our cruise and sent us a letter 2 weeks before the cruise saying that they were going to be revamping their children's programming during the week that we were on our cruise and that they were going to make alternate arrangements. So at that point in time, I kind of got a little mama bear to whistle on them, and I sent them a very tactfully worded but appropriate letter regarding that situation. And fortunately, Carnival rose to the occasion, and we ended up having our best cruise ever. And that's not because they gave us a free cruise or anything like that. They just went out of their way to do very little things to make sure that we had a fabulous cruise. And they treated Daniel with, I can't even tell you, it was amazing. And they do not have the distinctive of being autism-friendly cruise line. They do not promote that. They don't brand that. But let me tell you, they did fantastic. So here we are, 3 years later, we have another child. And that child also has special needs. And we are specifically planning this cruise to celebrate her birthday. Now, it all just kind of ended up at that time. Did we really plan it as her 3rd birthday? And it just kind of happened that way. But here's the reality. We are now cruising as a family of 4 on a cruise, Royal Caribbean, for 7 days. So, first of all, the story about us booking this cruise. We have been Crown and Anchor members of Royal Caribbean since 2008, and we have taken 2 previous cruises with Royal Caribbean, both as couples, not as a family. Now, Dave and I have done a lot of cruising as a couple. We did a lot of our cruising before we had children. So this will be our 3rd cruise as a family, and then only our first cruise with all 4 of us. So hopefully that gives you enough background. We, over the course of the last 9 years, have been accruing cruise points on our Royal Caribbean credit card. We utilize that credit card for everything. And so we found out just prior to booking our cruise that we had enough cruise points for a free cruise for 2. So we were going to take advantage of that, and we did redeem those cruise points. However, there was a stipulation for us being able to do that. The stipulation was that it was an occupancy of 2. So technically, we could only have 2 people in a cabin to get that free cruise, meaning we had to book a 2nd cabin for our children. What ended up being is that I'd had to book a room with me and Alyssa because she's a minor, and then Dave ended up having to book a cruise with him and Daniel, and Alyssa and I got our cabin free, and then we're still paying for the other cabin with Daniel and Dave. So that's kind of the background on that. Not that that's Royal Caribbean's problem per se. They have an arrangement with Bank of America to provide this credit card to provide cruise rewards for their cruisers. I don't believe it's very family friendly. So today I did a thing. I wrote a letter to Royal Caribbean, to both their CEO and to their customer relations, not just about this situation. This actually was a very secondary situation that I brought up at the end of the letter. But the things that I did bring up in the letter regarding special needs were very valid. Since we booked the cruise, I had been working with, or trying to work with, the special needs area of Royal Caribbean to make arrangements, what I feel are appropriate, very appropriate, nothing extravagant, arrangements to provide for a comfortable cruise for our family and for our children. One of those situations was Alyssa's going to turn 3 on that cruise. I want her to be able to be fully included with kids that are 3, her age group, 3, during that cruise. I want her to be able to participate in Adventure Ocean, which is programming for children 3 and over. And Alyssa will turn 3 on the Friday of that cruise. I don't want her to have to wait until Friday for her to be able to participate. I want her to participate for the entire week. And I don't believe that is an unreasonable expectation. She's 3 that week. So I have not been able to get any type of resolution regarding this request. Alyssa is not potty trained, but with children with special needs, they do make an accommodation for children to participate in Adventure Ocean if they have a disability. And Alyssa is cognitively and socially on par with her peers. And all recommendations from her doctors and her therapist is for her to participate with her peers in all situations as possible. So this is a recommendation that I'm making. The other thing I'm making as a recommendation is for accommodations for embarkation to get on the cruise quickly, and not so that we should have special treatment. We just want to get on the cruise, because waiting in line with 2 children with special needs, particularly a son who has autism and sensory processing disorder, we need to get on the ship. We can't be waiting in line for 3 hours. We have to get on the ship. It's going to be better for us. It'll be better for everybody around us, because you do not want to have a child with autism having a situation waiting in line with other passengers. So really, I wanted to make embarkation recommendations for them, and they technically made a recommendation for us to have expedited boarding. And then I asked for accommodations for muster drill. So they agreed to these things and put it on in our reservation. However, the problem is that since I've made that recommendation, I have learned of a lot of people who have experienced problems with requesting these things. And that concerns me. For a cruise line that has the autism-friendly distinction, that concerns me. And so I want to make sure that all those accommodations are not only done, that they are done, that I don't have to ask. That when we walk up and say, hey, this is our family, we need to get on board, this is our reservation, that there's no question. I'm not asking for anything unreasonable. I just want them to do what they say they're going to do, right? The other thing is that I was told that I couldn't make a request for dining prior to the cruise. We have requested anytime dining. And then I've also put in reservations for those days online for us to have our dining at 5:30 every day. And that's technically in the system. What is not in the system is the fact that my son, we as a family need to be sitting by ourselves, not secluded from everybody. We just want to have our own table. We need to not be sitting where there's a lot of loud things going on. We can't be sitting by the door. Just certain accommodations to make things a little bit easier for a child that has with autism. So I've made those requests. I asked the person at customer service regarding these recommendations or this request, and they said that they can't do that. So I have to wait until we're on board. And to me, with traveling with 2 children with special needs, I'm not waiting until I'm on board to find out if I can make these recommendations and for an amenity saying, hey, we can't accommodate that. That's not acceptable. So I wrote a letter today to Royal Caribbean, both to the CEO of Royal Caribbean and to the Customer Relations Special Needs area. And basically what I said is basically what I said to you today. As a mother of children with special needs, there are certain things that I don't want special treatment. I just want reasonable accommodations for my family when we are cruising. And the other thing is that I've had a really great experience with your competitor line, and I'm proactively giving you the opportunity to shine. And so that's what I did today. I wrote 2 letters, and I'm sending them off today. And what I wanted, why I'm saying this and why I'm creating this video, is to empower other parents to do similar things. Now, I'm not saying write every single person about every single thing that possibly go wrong during anything. No, I don't have time to do that. You don't have time to do that. But there are certain things that I think we need to stand up and advocate for our children for. And if we anticipate that something may happen that other parents have experienced, and we don't want that to happen to us, then I think we have every expectation to address that. And every right to address that. I will do that. And now, does Royal Caribbean have any obligation to respond in any way to the letter I send? Nope. They don't have any obligation to do anything. They don't. But that's on them. And what I told them in this letter is that I am going to make sure that during the cruise, I am going to tell every parent that has special needs children that connects with me online, in YouTube or any of my social media groups, that they're going to know the experience that I'm having. And I want them to have confidence when they book a cruise, regardless of the line they choose, that they're going to have reasonable accommodations and wonderful treatment by staff. And if they don't, then I'm going to let them know that as well. So, this is me just being mama bear to whistle air and advocating for my kids. And if you've been scared to do that or haven't thought you needed to do that, what I want to challenge you right now is that if we're going to make any change to our society, we have to start having a voice. And I have a voice. And my children, they're going to have a voice because I have a voice. And I want you to feel like you have a voice as well. So this is me just saying what I feel like I have to say and just being a little bit rowdy. So hopefully it turns out well. We'll see. And I will let you know what happens. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.